My name is Ava Hart, and I've learned that silence can be its own kind of armor. Sweetheart, Gloria said from the front seat, her tone honeyed and condescending all at once. We booked you the cheapest room at the resort. You won't mind, right? I figured you'd rather save a little money. I smiled even though the words stung the way they always did. Of course, I'm fine with whatever. Beside her, my father nodded approvingly. That's our practical girl, never a burden. Outside the car window, Seattle's skyline shimmered against the late afternoon light, glass towers reflecting the bay like a secret no one wanted to admit existed. We were on our way to Elliott Cove Resort, their anniversary weekend retreat. My stepmother's idea, of course. Everything was always her idea. I kept my gaze on the water, tracing the distant reflection of the Cascade Biosystems building, the same one where just this morning I had closed a 3-month compliance audit that saved the company 6 figures in fines. But I didn't mention that. I'd learned long ago that my accomplishments only made them uncomfortable. Gloria laughed softly. You'll love the view, even from the budget side. Can't wait, I said, sipping the last of my coffee, using the cup to hide my expression. In the back seat, the air smelled faintly of her perfume, expensive, assertive, a scent that filled every space it entered. I turned my face toward the window again. The water glimmered like mercury, smooth and unbothered. In its reflection, I could almost see myself, not the quiet daughter they dismissed, but the woman they underestimated. They thought I was tagging along for their celebration. They had no idea I was the one about to set the rules. When I first moved to Seattle, I brought nothing but 3 suitcases, a laptop, and the quiet conviction that I would never again be anyone's afterthought. The city welcomed me like it understood what it meant to start over gray skies that softened everything. Coffee shops humming with purpose, people too busy to pry into your life. I rented a small apartment overlooking Lake Union, close enough to hear the water traffic in the mornings, but far enough to keep my solitude intact. My first day at Cascade Biosystems felt like standing in the control room of a machine that hadn't been properly tuned in years. Departments fought over accountability reports, contradicted one another, and compliance deadlines were treated more like suggestions than obligations. It was chaos wrapped in corporate politeness. But chaos, I'd learned, was just an invitation for structure. Within 6 months, I built an internal audit map that tied every process to an accountability metric. People stopped dismissing me as the paperwork girl. They started listening. My office filled with quiet authority, one that didn't need volume to command respect. Still, when I got home at night, there was an ache beneath the calm. Silence has edges, and mine often cut deep. I cooked dinner for one set 2 plates out by habit, then put one away again. I told myself I didn't miss anyone, I missed the idea of being seen. On my whiteboard, I wrote a single line that became my compass. I don't owe anyone what they can do themselves. It wasn't anger, it was policy. A year passed like that, measured, precise, almost peaceful. Promotions came faster than expected, and with them the kind of financial stability that used to belong only to people who took from me. Then one Sunday morning, as the mist lifted off the lake, I received a call from Aunt Lila. Her voice carried the warmth of someone who still believed family could mean something good. Ava, your living room looks like something from a magazine. Do you mind if I snap a photo? Just for my friends, they'd love your style. I hesitated. As long as you keep it private. Of course, sweetheart, she promised. That evening, I scrolled through social media and froze. There it was. My apartment sunlight pouring over the glass table, Nova sleeping by the window, and Aunt Lila's caption, so proud of my niece thriving in Seattle. Innocent, maybe. But within an hour the post had comments, and among the familiar names was one that made my stomach tighten. Gloria Miles. Beautiful home, can't wait to visit. That was how all invasions began, politely. I told myself Aunt Lila meant well. But the algorithm didn't care, it only wanted attention. By morning, Gloria's friends had shared the post. She takes after her mother. Her mother. I closed my laptop, jaw tight. Gloria had always been good at rewriting history before it even settled. Messages followed old neighbors' cousins, even Brianna, "Hey boss lady, Seattle treating you that good?" I ignored them. I'd built this life on silence and boundaries. Then Gloria texted, "We're coming up next weekend." Your father misses you. Brianna needs a change. The kids want to see where you live. No question, just declaration. I stared at the message at the calm lake outside. Seattle was my sanctuary, every inch of it peaceful. I could already feel their chaos creeping in. Still, part of me softened. Maybe Dad really missed me. Before I could reply, another buzz. Tickets booked. Will land Friday at 6 p.m. When the day came, I prepared the guest room anyway. Fresh sheets, folded towels, candle lit. Not for them, but for the version of me that still believed being good earned peace. The doorbell rang. Nova barked once. Gloria walked in first. Sunglasses on despite the gray sky. "Oh, honey, you've really made it here, haven't you?" Behind her, Brianna filmed. "Family weekend in Seattle. Look at my sister's fancy setup." "Don't record in here," I said. "It's harmless." She laughed. I took the phone gently and pressed stop. "It's my home, Brie, not your backdrop." Her smile faded. Gloria's too. Silence fell, only Nova's breathing. That was when I realized they hadn't come to reconnect. They'd come to collect. Dinner felt like an interview, every question hiding a trap. Gloria had picked the restaurant herself, all glass, white linen, and quiet wealth, so she began swirling her wine. "You must be so proud this place, your company, that view. We always knew you'd land on your feet." A compliment with limits. Dad smiled, faintly silent as always when Gloria performed. Brianna scrolled on her phone until Gloria nudged her. "Tell your sister about the house. Our mortgage went up again," Brianna said. "I told Mom I wish I had something stable like you. You must have tons saved." I set my glass down. Enough to not worry about dinner. Gloria laughed. "Always the smart one. You know Brianna's been struggling with loans her startup. Maybe you could give her some advice. Or maybe a little help." There it was. "Advice, sure," I said evenly. "Money, no." Her smile stayed, but her tone cooled. "Family helps family." "Funny," I said. I could have used that once. Silence. Even Brianna froze. Dad murmured, "Gloria, maybe. It's not a loan she cut in. It's an investment in your sister's future." "I already invested," I said. "When I watched you crown her golden child while I paid my own tuition." Her face tightened. "You've really changed, Ava." That was the point. The waiter arrived, rescuing the moment with silver platters. I excused myself, stepping toward the railing. The harbor lights shimmered, beautiful, distant, indifferent. Behind me, Gloria whispered something sharp. I didn't turn around. I'd spent years trying to earn a seat at their table. Now I knew I'd built a better one. They stayed the weekend. Each morning, Gloria tidied what wasn't messy, rearranging my books, critiquing my quiet decor. Brianna filled the apartment with calls and selfies. Dad read by the window, waiting for a piece that never came. One night while they were out, I sat at my desk and opened my compliance tracker, the tool I used for corporate audits. Families I thought could use one too, not for money but for truth. I titled a file, Miles Family, Historical Compliance Review. Under neglected contributions, I listed every temporary loan. Under emotional manipulation, every guilt trip and conditional affection. Under asset misrepresentation, I wrote, "They never saw my worth until they could spend it." When they returned, Gloria smiled. "We found the cutest boutique." "You should have come." "I was reviewing something important," I said. "For work, in a way." The next morning, they invited me to brunch, Gloria's idea of family time. I agreed. Every audit, after all, deserves a closing meeting. At the resort restaurant, I waited in navy slacks and a white blouse, boardroom calm. When they sat down, I began. "I ran a compliance report for this family." Brianna blinked. "A what?" "A record of who gives, who takes, and who signs off without consent." Gloria frowned. "Ava, that's absurd. We're family, not a business." "That's the problem," I said. "Only one side ever had rules." I slid the tablet across the table. Neat columns, dates, amounts. $1, $800 for Brianna's tuition, $5, $200 for Gloria's car. Countless favors repaid with guilt. Dad whispered, You kept records. Yes, because no one believed me when I said I gave more than I got. Silence. Then Gloria's mask cracked. You're sick, she spat. You need help. I smiled calmly. No. I finally got healthy. Gloria shot up her chair, screeching across the marble. Eyes turned. I stayed still calm, tracing my coffee cup's rim. Once her anger would have made me apologize. Now it only proved my point. You humiliated your family, she hissed. In public. Over money. It's not about money, I said. It's about math that never adds up. Brianna scoffed. Who keeps spreadsheets on their family, the kind who got tired of being gaslit? Dad's voice cracked. Ava, maybe this isn't... It is, I said. You came to take, not reconnect. I just wanted honesty. Gloria's laugh was brittle. You think your job makes you better? No, I met her eyes. It made me stop needing you. Silence stretched. Dad sighed, guilt heavy. You're right, he said softly. You've carried this family for years. Gloria snapped, Greg, don't start. But something in him had already shifted. Brianna stood. This is ridiculous. Yes, Gloria said, grabbing her purse. Let's leave your sister to her... data. They left. I exhaled, steady, not triumphant, just free. Outside, the sky glowed pale gold. Their car disappeared down the pier. Closure didn't feel like a door slamming, it felt like air. A message blinked on my phone. Dad, I'm sorry. Call me when you're ready. I didn't reply. Some debts don't need collecting, just acknowledgement. I woke to sunlight filtering through the curtains and the hum of the city. For the first time in years, there was no weight in my chest, no waiting for approval or apology. Just quiet. I made coffee, poured it into the pretentious porcelain cup Gloria once mocked, and sat by the window. Lake Union was still and glass-like, reflecting everything without reaction. I envied its calm. My phone buzzed Dad. We're back home. Hope we can talk soon. Just us. I read it twice, then locked the screen. Not out of anger, but peace. Forgiveness didn't need words. It just meant choosing not to cross the same line again. Later that week, I signed the papers transferring my condo into a trust, not to hide it, but to protect it. A quiet declaration that my life was mine alone. Aunt Lila visited with pastries. I saw the photos, she said gently. They didn't take it well, did they? I smiled. No, but they finally saw the truth. That's enough. On the balcony, the sunset turned the lake gold. She squeezed my hand. You remind me of your mother when she left home stronger than you know. Before leaving, she said softly, Revenge isn't always fire, Ava. Sometimes it's air, the kind they choke on when you stop explaining yourself. That night, I walked along the dock lights rippling on the water. I thought of every version of me that tried to earn love, and how they'd all led here to balance at last. Balance achieved, I whispered. Laughter drifted from the marina light distant. For the first time, I didn't need to join it. I already was whole. A week later, I stood on the terrace, the Seattle skyline gleaming under the afternoon haze, cranes rising glass, catching light. The city kept building, breaking, rebuilding. So did I. I'd spent years trying to balance my family's ledger, pouring effort into empty accounts, mistaking debt for love. But now, every number aligned. The record was clean. When Dad called again, I answered. I read the report he said quietly. It hurt. Because it was true. Then it did what it needed to, I replied. You're not angry anymore? No. Anger's heavy. I put it down. He laughed softly. You sound like your mother. She said peace was her final rebellion. Maybe it runs in the family. When the call ended, I felt only completion, the kind auditors mark as resolved. Back inside, evening light filled the room. I opened my old notebook, once crowded with debts and disappointments, and wrote Audit complete. No pending liabilities. Outside, the wind shifted over the lake, carrying the scent of rain. I could almost hear Gloria's voice, sharp and fading, powerless now that I'd stopped believing it. I closed the notebook, turned off the light, and let the city hum below me. I wasn't the quiet daughter anymore. I was the author of the record, and it was finally closed.